I am joined by one of the very best featherweights to ever grace the UFC octagon, an avid hunter, fisherman, blooming entrepreneur, family man, Chad Money Mendes. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Man, you just called it a career from combat sports after just a wicked war with Eddie Alvarez and bare knuckle boxing, no less. First off, thank you for that. As advertised, that was an absolute banger. We don't deserve something like that, but you gave it to us anyways. So thank you. And
And thank
second,
you.
how was that not scored a draw?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, in all honesty, I thought worst case it was dry. I thought I'd maybe even eked it out, but I guess that's what happens when you leave it in the hands of the judges. But man, it's Eddie's so damn tough. I mean, I knew going in it was gonna be tough to just straight up put this dude's lights out and be done. If you've watched all his fights, the guy can get straight dropped and then just start fighting off his back. It's like instant. So yeah, man, I don't know. I thought, like I said, worst case it was going to be a draw, but I think it was supposed to go into the sixth. They were telling us to get ready for a sixth round, but my eye was completely closed up, and my coach was like, "He can't see. I don't know if we're going to continue." So I don't know if that changed anything there, but
Hmm.
it's all good, man. It's Eddie's a super cool dude, so at least at least if that's going to happen to anybody that I was going to fight, it was a guy like that. So I'm not
100%.
too
What a
bummed about
stud. Honestly, I think he might have some of that Korean zombie in him. You
it.
know,
Yeah, I know,
like
right?
he's got that weird kind of just toughness. That's
Yeah,
he's the $2 steak, right? Just super
yeah.
super tough. Um, man, what a war. But bare knuckle has really taken off. I mean, they've gained so much traction lately. Would you say that's more because of the lack of gloves, or do you think it's more the pacing of the 2 minute rounds?
I think it's a mix of both. I mean, the no gloves is interesting. It's like something that we don't really see unless it's like a straight up street fight. And so I think that intrigues a lot of people. But then also the pace. I mean, it you can't go slow in a 2 minute round. I mean, it goes by so fast that I mean, and I talked about this with some buddies. Like, I feel like the UFC would be so much more action packed, especially full MMA like that, if they made the round shorter. It's hard for anybody on earth, even the best guys, to go balls to the wall for 5 minute rounds, or even 3 5 minute rounds, 5 minutes straight. Like a lot of guys have to pace themselves. You have to pick and choose when to explode, when to like use those bursts. But in those 2 minute rounds, man, it's like you can go hard the whole time, and you're tired going into that break, but you get back and then it's a 2 minute quick round, and it's I don't know. I think that definitely makes it a lot more exciting. But yeah, I do think the no gloves thing is something special there. It's definitely intriguing to everybody.
For sure. And I feel like bare knuckle MMA is starting to come up. Do you
Yeah.
think they'll get the same sort of traction that bare knuckle boxing is getting?
Man, I don't know. It's a tough one to say. I think bare knuckle boxing in itself, just the boxing part of it, goes so far back. You think of Fight Club and you think of like, the Fighting Irish and these guys doing these crazy boxing bare knuckle fights in the underground stuff. And that has something to it that separates the MMA world, I think. So who knows though? I think with the right promotions and the right type of fighters, yeah, it definitely could take off.
Maybe that's the thing. The bare knuckle
Mhm.
MMA with the shorter 2 minute rounds or
There
maybe
you go.
3 minute rounds.
Yeah.
Well, I
Man,
know.
you're
So
yeah,
I
that
did.
would be exciting.
I like randomly took this Muay Thai fight out in Thailand, and they had me do 5 3 minute rounds, and I feel like that's kind of like a happy medium. It's like you
Yep.
still get enough time, but the rounds aren't
Mhm.
just ridiculously long for no reason. Not that
Yep.
it's no reason that they're 5 minutes, because
Yeah.
grappling, you need time to set up submissions and things like that. So I understand that.
Mhm.
But damn, 2 minutes is exciting. Like,
Yeah. It's especially on the feet. I can see kickboxing being just as exciting. God, that stuff's brutal. I
yeah,
don't
no,
think I could ever just straight kickbox, man. You're like that. That's off to you.
you don't think
Like,
so? I don't know,
oh,
man.
yeah.
What was I?
Those,
I was who was I? I was watching your Llamas fight the other day, and you came out and you were lighting his legs up like right away. Just cracking his legs. I think you would kill in some
Oh, man, that shit hurt. I'd rather get punched in the face.
yeah, yeah.
Kicking people's
True,
legs and shins and hitting knees and elbows, like nobody wins with that.
true, very true. Man,
Just
what a
hurts
career
all
you've
around.
had though. I mean, if you looking back at your career, I mean, you faced, I mean, the resume you have is so stout. I mean, Aldo, Volkanovski, Lamas, like we said, Moicano, Cub Swanson, Conor McGregor, now Eddie Alvarez. You choked out Jeff Glover, for crying out loud, in a grappling match.
Forgot
Uh,
about that
but
one.
like, that's insane. But
Yeah.
like, was there ever a fight or like a matchup that maybe got away from you, or one that you wanted but just for whatever reason didn't happen?
Um, God, I mean, I didn't really have a ton of MMA, like UFC fights that back fell through. I think there was two. I think I was supposed to fight. God, I'm drawing a blank on his name. It was Aldo's teammate. He honestly, like stand up wise, fought a lot like Aldo, just way less explosive and powerful. But God, I'm drawing a blank on him. I think that's really one of the only UFC fights that I kind of fell through, and that was my Australia fight. I ended up, I think it was like 2 weeks out. They found a guy, and I ended up knocking the dude out. But God, I can't think of his name right now. But man, other than that, I mean, Holloway always was somebody that I thought would have been a really cool fight. Um, I like his style. I think he's a beast. The dude's output is insane. I like how he kind of has that almost like Diaz style where he's in there talking and talking shit the whole time. Those are always fun. Like when I fought Connor, he was doing all that same shit. So I don't know. I always thought that would have been a cool matchup, but man, I don't know. I feel like I pretty much fought everybody on the upper end of that weight class that I pretty much wanted to test myself with. So yeah,
You gotta. What do you think is gonna happen with Max Holloway and the Korean Zombie? They're fighting on
I think
Saturday.
Holloway, man, I like the zombie. Zombie came out and trained with us for a long time. Super cool guy. I think he's very tough. He just gets hit, and I think Holloway's gonna. I mean, his output is just insane with
It's
his
like the
strike. So
worst stylistic matchup ever, isn't
yeah,
it? It's
I
like the guy
agree,
that
man.
hits the most against the guy that has the
That
volume
it hits
record.
the most. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think that's how it's gonna go. But you never know. That's what's so great about
Yeah.
MMA.
The
Something
thing
crazy
is,
could happen.
I think it might be Zombie's last fight.
Hmm.
I think that's why I think he's as close to home as he can be in
He
Singapore.
left for a while, right? I feel like he was gone
Yeah.
from the sport for 2 or 3 years.
Well, he did that 2-year military, like the
That's what it was.
mandatory. He had to join their military, the South Korean military, and
Gotcha.
then after that, he was able to come back. But yeah, he's in the twilight of his career, and I guess his swan song. I think is just going to be Max Holloway, and just
Nice.
going out like a boss. So
Oh yeah, that's the way. That's the way to go out if that's what's gonna happen.
it should be a banger.
Yeah.
But like for you, like what are you doing to curb that, the competition bug, so to speak? How are you keeping yourself from wanting to go back in there?
Man, I get a lot of that same feeling from all the big hunts that I do, like game planning and, jumping online, studying maps and like looking at terrain and, figuring out spots to basically get in and go after these things at. And like I said, the whole game plan and training, like I'm up every day at 6 a.m. out shooting my bow, making sure everything's fine tuned. I was just running around all day today my bow got bumped out of whack and I was stressing because I'm leaving on Friday for my next hunt.
Oh
So I had
wow.
to like drive an hour's worth of driving to get this thing all fine tuned again with my guys over at Wilderness Archery. But man, that stuff like it definitely keeps my mind in that competition itch. I think fulfilled most of the time. Being able to fill my freezer and live off that throughout the year is, dude, that's what I live for. Enjoy getting out in the wilderness and, like I said, putting all these game plans and getting my butt kicked probably more than I'm successful, which makes me just try even harder and study things a little bit better next time and get in there and do better. So it definitely keeps me busy. I'd say pretty much year round, but God, man, I still love competing like in sports, like I just fought that fight in April. I actually retired from the UFC back in 18 and thought I was done and then came back into the first bare knuckle, thought I was done again. and just came back and did this one. So I keep saying I'm done, but oh
It's like the
man, it just
mafia, right?
yeah, God, it's like all
They
right, I'm just
pulled
gonna
me
do one more.
back in.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
But
well, here's
yeah,
the question. What would it take to get you to come back to combat sports?
oh man. I mean, I don't know if I would ever go back to the UFC. I still have, I think, 2 or 3 fights on that contract, but I don't know, man. The difference between fighting in the UFC and the bare knuckle boxing, like it's just boxing, so I can focus on one specific thing and conditioning, but they're way shorter rounds. So that's like, in my mind, so much easier. Um, but I can still continue to run my businesses and do all the other stuff I'm doing and train and do what it takes to win in bare knuckle versus UFC, man, you got to shut everything off. Like if you want to win and continue to have success, that has to be 100% your focus. And I noticed there towards the end of my career when I launched the first business and was like putting a lot of effort into that, it was starting to kind of split my time a little bit. And it's hard, man. It's, you just feel like you can't put your 100% heart and soul into it. And it shows when you get in there. And I feel it. And it's a confidence thing too, like, did I do enough this camp? Like
Mhm,
normally
mhm.
I'm like, 100% all I think about, eat, sleep, is straight MMA. And I have half the time been having to deal with, business stuff over here and then also training and, my mind's kind of all over. Plus having kids, I got 2 little girls now. That like pulls everything in a completely different direction. So no,
Mhm.
you're getting pulled in like 3 or 4 different directions. But I don't know, man. It would have to be for even bare knuckle boxing, it'd have to be the right opponent for the right amount of money. But
Well,
I'm not saying it's not possible, but like I'm 38 this year. I'm definitely still in the prime age of competing. Like I know I can still do it. And I felt great that last fight. It's just for me, it's like I just have to make my mind up that I'm like, it's either I'm done or I'm still doing it,
right.
and I keep
Yeah.
teeter-tottering. Even though I keep saying that I'm done, I think until I hit that age where I just feel like I can't do it anymore, then I'm for sure like that's 100% not happening anymore. But yeah, I still feel like it can. It just has
Well,
to be the right setup and right amount of money.
it seems like in your mind, I mean, the evidence is there. We know you can still do it, right? So it's
Mhm.
just a matter of spreading yourself too thin, is what it kind
Yeah.
of seems like. Well, Conor McGregor, he said that you hit harder than anyone he's ever fought.
Nice.
What do you think about the chances of running that one back? Would that be one that you might actually sign up for?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, whether it's MMA or bare knuckle boxing, I mean, I would love to do some bare knuckle boxing with Connor. I think that would be fucking awesome.
He seems all
Uh,
about it. He
I
seems like
know
fair
he was
enough.
at my fight, coaching and yelling all kinds of shit during mine and Eddie's fight, sitting there chugging his whiskey.
Yeah, I didn't even know who was he trying to help? I know he was
I
like
don't
yelling out
know.
directions for both of you. I don't
I
know.
think both. Yeah, there was a couple times I heard him saying stuff. For me, he wasn't saying my name, but I could tell that's like what he was trying to get me to do. And then same thing with Eddie, or he was saying the same thing that whoever could get to it first type of thing. But no, it was I if they ended up signing that dude for a fight and he would take it, that's one I would 100% do.
Fair enough. I definitely understand. And oh man, would that be exciting?
It would be
But
cool.
as of right now, you're retired from combat sports. So, what are some of the goals you have for your businesses and for your personal life?
I mean, obviously, we're just growing the family. My 2 daughters are getting bigger, and my oldest is in school, and the younger one's very close to being in school. So, just continuing to try to be a good dad, good husband, which is very difficult. But try my best there. And then, obviously, business wise, just continuing to grow what we got. I got Fins and Feathers, which is we call it a celebrity outdoor service where we put together cool hunting, fishing trips all over the world, and then add different athletes or like celebrities off, movie stars or whatever it may be that will go and do these trips with the clientele, whether it's, hunting big bugling elk or, fishing for big 100+ pound bluefin tuna or, we got all kinds of cool trips that we do all over the world. So, in fact, we've been talking to him about doing some more fishing trips.
Oh
He's got a
yeah.
couple places out in Florida and we do some stuff out of Florida too. And he's like, dude, I'd love to come fish on one of your trips. So, you know, I'd love to get.
I'm gonna have to find a way to weasel myself on that boat.
Let's go.
Florida's not too far from Virginia.
No, no.
Road trip.
Yeah. So yeah, man, just growing the businesses, doing that. I started a tree trimming business here in Northern California with a buddy of mine. Obviously, with all the big wildfires and everything going crazy the last few years up here, and then this year a bunch of big storms. It's like there's not enough of them. So perfect timing. We jumped in, and he's been doing it for over 20 years. But basically, just built the business with him and launched that at the beginning of this year. So that's another thing we're doing, and then you know I got my hands in a bunch of other things too that just kind of part owners in, but you know just keeping myself busy, sometimes almost too busy. You know, this year especially, I've kind of stepped back from a lot of the travel for work, at least throughout that first beginning part of the year, and just doing a lot of family stuff, which has been nice. But my hunting stuff is about to get crazy. I'm leaving Friday, and it's not really stopped until mid-November. So
no, that's incredible. And you seem to have a very firm grasp on having more than one hustle.
Yeah.
I saw you teamed up. You have your Chad Mendes wellness box coming out.
Yeah.
It's actually Psoriasis Awareness Month. And I got to be completely honest with you. I never really knew how debilitating psoriasis was until I saw your Instagram post. And I was like, what? Like, you're training with this, let alone competing? Like, man, what is it like to have to deal with that while you have so much, you know, you're rubbing on people nonstop and sweating and in the gym and what is
Dude,
it
it was
like?
awful. So I started getting psoriasis when I was little. I remember probably about 5 or 6 years old when I first started getting it. I get it on my shins. And it's something that's there all the time. It's not like eczema where it kind of flares up and goes away. There are times that it's way worse than others, but it's, for me, like it's plaque psoriasis. So it's there like permanently. And I didn't know what it was as a kid. Like growing up as a wrestler, I thought it was ringworm. So I used to always put like Lamisil and like ringworm medicine on it, which never helped it. And I'm like, God, I can't get rid of this damn ringworm. You know, and I had it, and it just continued to get worse over from, you know, a little kid all the way up through college. And man, by the time I graduated from college and moved up here to Sacramento, I had it all over my scalp, my shins, basically from ankles to knees, some spots on like my sides, lower back, my hips, elbows were getting pretty bad. It was just getting worse and worse and worse. And, you know, I've gone to 2 different dermatologists, and honestly, both of them, like I didn't know anything about a meat-based diet or, you know, animal organs or anything like that back then. I was pretty much eating what I thought was a healthy diet, what I'd been taught in school was a healthy diet. You know, I was a kinesiology major, so I had, you know, nutrition classes, and it's just crazy the stuff that we've been taught. You know, I remember sitting in there and like talking about how butter is bad and, you know, red meat is bad, but you make sure you're using margarine, the vegetable oils, because this is heart healthy. And, you know, and now there's tons of studies coming out showing that that stuff is like murderous to it, just, you know, complete trash for us. But it's like, so I used to eat like that, and it just is continuing to get worse and worse and worse. And the 2 dermatologists I went to, you know, I would straight up ask, like, hey, is there anything that I should stay away from in my diet that will flare this up or make it worse? Or are there things that might help it? And they both told me diet has no effect on psoriasis. It's an autoimmune disease, and diet has 0 effect on it. And then they prescribed me all these ointments and steroids and, you know, all these, like, here we can do injections, but these are once a month, and they're outrageous, and they're bad for your kidneys and your liver. And it's like, dude, I'm not doing any of that, you know? And so it just continued to get worse and worse. And so my buddy, Nate, he follows Rogan's journey like really closely. And Rogan had a couple of the carnivore doctors on there, Sean Baker and Paul Saladino. And they talked about going on a carnivore diet or meat-based diet, or they call it an animal-based diet, to help autoimmune diseases. And basically what their thoughts on it is that it comes from the gut. Like psoriasis comes from a leaky gut syndrome. So basically you have membranes in your gut lining that are supposed to be really tight and keep things from getting through. Well, when you start getting leaky gut, those separate and things basically leak into your bloodstream, which
Wow.
causes people with autoimmune diseases, your body recognizes imposters in the bloodstream. And so it's like fight, 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 so that you have an overactive immune system at all times. So, there's different autoimmune diseases like Rogan's, I think is vitiligo, where it like attacks the pigment in his skin. So have you ever seen people with like those bright white patches? I remember
Scott
Scott Jorgensen.
Jurgensen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's what that is. That's an autoimmune disease. So mine's plaque psoriasis. There's a bunch of different other kinds, but that's basically what causes that to flare up and what causes that to happen.
Okay.
And so basically their thought is going on, it's basically an elimination diet. Meat is the only thing that a person can live off of solely and not die. If you went to a straight vegan diet, you wouldn't be able to live, like, basically. And
Wow.
we've recently just seen people. There was a girl I just saw a whole video on that was vegan and was very stubborn with it and got very sick and started withering away to nothing. Her friends were like trying to get her to change her diet, and they found
Yeah.
her dead. Like, she basically starved to death, unfortunately.
That sucks,
But
man.
yeah, so I'm like, look, okay, Rogan, he had those guys on his show. I think he said he was gonna try it for like 30 days and just see. And he said within that 30 days, I'm pretty sure like most of it went away, or or it got like way better. I'll have to go back and look. But I remember seeing that and being like, ding, like, okay, well, I'm gonna try this shit. If I don't know what else to do. It's either continue to go get the injections that are like horrible for my body, and
Right.
they sometimes don't even make it go away. The creams and ointments that are also bad for your body, that are outrageously expensive and just kind of keep it at bay. They don't get rid of it. And then it's something I have to make sure I'm putting on my entire body at all times. So I'm like, look, I'm going to try this for like 30 days. If I don't see any difference, I'll probably just go back to doing what I'm doing. I did it. So the first 4 months, I did nothing but meat, eggs, dairy, raw dairy, seafood. I think that's it. Yeah, that was those four things. So no carbohydrates, basically, outside of what the
Hmm.
dairy has a little bit. No fruits, no vegetables, no grains, no nothing. And within the first 2 weeks, it was a night and day difference. Like,
Really.
even I think
Wow.
after the first week of doing that, I could already see a difference. But 2 weeks,
That's
and I'll have to
incredible.
repost this, but so that opened my eyes to it, and I'm like, look, this is obviously something that works. So I'm going to
Mhm.
continue doing it, dude.
Wow.
I'm 2 years into it now, adding beef organs into my diet, so I don't really take a synthetic multivitamin anymore. My multivitamin, my D, the trace minerals, beef organs, beef liver, which all those nutrients in there are bioavailable for our body. So a lot of the synthetic, like one a days or whatever those are, you take them, you piss out like 90% or some
Right.
crazy
They
amount.
don't get
Like,
absorbed.
yeah, your body's not using them. Same thing with vegetables. I mean, a lot of the vegetables we eat, that are supposed to be all these vitamins and nutrients and stuff that are packed in them. That's why you eat your vegetables. I've been told my
Right.
whole life.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't eaten vegetables in almost 2 years. I eat the beef organs and the liver, the organ supplement. Um, I drink purified water, and I use the trace mineral drops in it to add electrolytes back in, because when you're not eating a ton of carbohydrates, like excess carbs, you have to put those electrolytes in because your body pumps them through a lot quicker. So I'm doing that. The organs and the beef liver pills also, I'll kind of mix the two together. And I feel this is the best I've ever felt my whole life. Like, haven't eaten vegetables in almost 2 years, like I said.
That's
So
amazing.
don't have any issues with my bowel movements. Like, people are like, well, you got to eat your vegetables. Well, how are you going to poop? It's like,
Right.
your body figures it out. Like, it does. Like, so I mean, my psoriasis is about 99.9% gone. There's little patches that still a
Wow.
little bit, I can still see red spots like behind my ears on this side, but everything else on my body is gone. And those, I've done the before and after pictures. Have you seen my psoriasis on
Mhm.
my legs? Like,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
was trying to train and grapple and rubbing that on everybody's faces, and everyone's disgusted. And
Sure.
at home
We
it's
all
just like
well, because right,
shedding skin
if you have
everywhere.
ringworm, you're that guy. No one
Yeah,
wants to roll with the
yeah,
ringworm guy. Yeah,
yeah.
I get it, man.
Oh, dude, it was so embarrassing. And like, so I'm trying to wear like the tights and leggings at all times. And yeah,
Spanx.
so yeah. So no,
Man,
it was not fun.
at least it appears that Trace Minerals is putting out a more holistic way to combat psoriasis as opposed to your traditional doctors or dermatologists who seem to be more inclined to prescribe some big pharma stuff.
I didn't realize how many people suffer from autoimmune disease, especially psoriasis. Like when I posted my journey, the before and after, when I first started doing it, my DMs blew up with people asking questions. And it's, I'm still a beginner at all. It's like I'm new to the whole animal-based diet. Like I said, it's been about 2 years now, so that's relatively brand new. But all I can do in this situation, especially having the following that I've built through fighting in the UFC, is help those people by sharing what I've done. Will that work for everybody? Maybe not. Every human being is different. Everybody's body reacts to things differently. But I think the majority of people, if they gave this a shot, gave the animal-based diet a shot, if you're suffering from an autoimmune disease, whether it's psoriasis or the vitiligo or whatever it may be, if you are serious about getting rid of it, I highly, highly recommend looking into the animal-based diet. Now, what I eat, and because a lot of people think, well, I can't just eat meat. Well, you could, but you don't have to. Like I eat red meat, I eat fish on occasion, I eat eggs that are pasture raised, raw dairy. If you can't find raw dairy, I do eat just regular dairy, organic. It's just as clean as you can find it, no sugars. So, and fruit, and I sweeten things with honey. So it's like, in the big scheme of things, I still have quite a bit of things that I can eat, but I just can't go out and eat a McDonald's burger or, whatever it may be. But I can cook myself a delicious elk steak or a beef steak and have some watermelon and, if I wanted some raw yogurt or something with it with some honey on top of it for dessert, like that's fucking good. Like if you don't think that's good, like your diet needs some work, man. So like, I don't know. I could just straight live off of red meat anyway.
The Zoom gods do what they want, and they decided we got to go. We got things. Well, before we get out of here, though, how can people follow you on your journey? What are your social media handles? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Everything's just at Chad Mendes, and it's Mendes. A lot of people spell my last name with a Z, but S. So yeah, I think all across the board, you guys can check that out. I do have a YouTube channel too, if anyone ever wants to check out. I usually self-film a lot of my hunts and fishing trips, and then usually do most of the editing myself and put it up there. So you guys can follow along on a bunch of those types of adventures too. There are some training videos on there too, technique videos if anyone's interested. So, but yeah, you guys can check that out if you want.
Editing's a thankless job. When it's done right, nobody notices.
Yeah, God, that's a full-time job in itself, I think.
Yeah,
I haven't been staying up on it, honestly, with the 2 kids and then all the other stuff. I was doing it like full-time there for a while, I think for a good 2 or 3 years.
What editor were you using?
Final Cut Pro.
Same.
Yeah,
buy it once and upgrade. That's cool.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Chad Mendes, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me. And thank you for putting on so many just epic, violent moments that, we will enjoy for years and years to come. I wish you nothing but the best success in everything you do.
Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure.
Talk to you soon. I'm going fishing with you and Eddie.
Let's do it. Uh-oh. We got a call coming in.
Yeah, I'm going fishing in Florida.
We'll try to get something set up. Yeah, we'll try to get something set up for next year.
Chad and Eddie.
Hell yeah.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care.
You too.